Mr. Rajneesh Singh speaks multiple languages and has a strong interest in sports. His current research interests are ICT policy in developing and emerging economies, internet evolution, and effective business strategies for developing markets. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Rajneesh Singh on online behavior and safety, the young, the brave, and the foolish. Over to you, and let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I think the title of the presentation is a bit more adventurous than what my content will be, but anyway. So I am the last session before tea, I am Think, and you've already seen my shiny bald head in the morning, so I'll try and not put you to any further sleep than you are already. And I'll also try and cover this as quickly as I can. I want to talk about ISOC. I hope by now you all know what ISOC is, what we do, where we are. And I hope if you haven't already joined, because I'm sure after you heard me speak this morning, the first thing you did is went and signed up as ISOC members. Is that right? I'll take that as a yes. Right, so if we look at all these names, would anyone care to tell me what's the common thread amongst all those names? There's something common to all those company names on that slide there. Anyone want to take a guess? All online? Yep. They have? Right. Okay. So basically, yes, on both accounts. They're all internet-based companies. If the internet did not exist, more likely than not, none of those names would be on that slide. Okay. So that, just looking at those names, it should tell you what sort of collateral exists within these technology companies. That's not an exhaustive list. It's just some of the big names that are out there. What that also indicates is that the economy that these companies drive is massive, into the multiple billions, if not trillions of dollars. So what is the internet? The internet today is an integral part of our daily lives. We have more than 2 billion users online, and it's growing rapidly. For a lot of people, it is the communications medium of choice. And again, it's growing. And when I say communications medium of choice, what I mean is that it's not just a matter of making a phone call anymore. We use email, we use internet telephony, we use Jabber or chat systems, we use Twitter, we use Facebook, we use web portals and web pages and blogs and video blogs and all sorts of things these days. So the internet has really become the communications medium of choice. It's not the humble telephone anymore. As evidence from that earlier slide I put on, it is a key part of the global economy. More and more the world depends on internet technology. You look around you, there's an E in front of everything. If you work in the ICT4D space, we've got e-governance, e-mobile, e-this, e-rural, e-health. Think of any buzzword and you put an E in front of it and it's out there somewhere. It's obviously big business, coming out of the Silicon Valley. We have companies like Google, Yahoo, Amazon, eBay, Microsoft buying out Skype, Nokia and Microsoft collaborating, so it's all happening. We have global call centers, and Sri Lanka wants to become the knowledge hub for the region. So that's all IT-based. And then, of course, information is power. In earlier times, one would perhaps measure the strength of a country by its technology in terms of industrial or military technology, but perhaps today IT technology is nearly as well a benchmark of how strong a country can be. If we look at how internet users have grown over the last 15 odd years, we see it's a very exponential curve. From around 10 odd million in 1995, we are at the 2 billion mark just 15 years later. And that will, of course, continue to grow. Asia, of course, leads in the number of internet users that exist. And it's basically twice that of any other region. And again, of course, growing. Of course, what does help us that two countries in this region have more than 1 billion people each, so that does help our cause a bit. So let's ask a couple of questions. How much time do you spend online? Now, this is an American-centric survey. I could not actually get my hands on anything that was specifically on Asia, but let's just look at it as an example of what sort of data is coming back from the general populace. How many Americans use the internet at all? About 55%, they tell us. Send or read email, 45%. Use a search engine, 40%. Get news, 30%, and then it drills down to playing online games at 5% and so on. On the right-hand side, we have per person per month of those who use the internet at all. More than 2,500 web pages visited, 89 domains visited, and 57 times they've logged on to the machine. So that's basically at least twice a day. Of course, some log on and never log off. Another question, what do you use the internet for? Now this one, I could get my hands on some Asia-specific data. Again, right up top, the category of use for the internet, search and navigation, more than 3/4. Entertainment comes in strong. Resources, news and information, retail, that means looking at goods being bought and sold on the internet, email, and social networking, about half of them. And if I were to summarize all that, in Asia, search and entertainment are perhaps the most popular categories. And when we say entertainment, it's music, it's video, it's TV, movies, multimedia, sports. A lot of sports tournaments are broadcast live these days. This INET is being broadcast live, thanks to our friends at ISAC New York and as well as our local ISOC chapter. One thing that does exist within the region, however, is that because of the diversity we have within this region, we have more than half the world's population. We have well over half the world's languages as well. So that means there is a lot of diversity between nations in terms of how they use the internet and what they use it for. If we look at total time spent online, the current data tells us that about 42% are viewing content, 22%, so just over a fifth, is on social networking, and 36%, or roughly 1/3, is on other things such as email, buying and selling things in search, and so on. Of course, if we looked at this graphic perhaps 5 years ago, social networking may not perhaps have been on the graph at all. So we can see there is a shift that's happening. Now, there is no doubt that the internet is a world of information, imagination, and innovation. Having said that, it offers opportunities, business opportunities, education opportunities, collaboration opportunities, and so on, but it also offers some challenges. So let's see some of the challenges that perhaps the young face. Now, here's a table I found which basically surveyed kids and their parents. And the kids were asked, how much time do you spend online? The same question was asked of their parents. How much time do you think your kids spend online? And you can see from those numbers that basically the parents did not know really how much time the children spent online. They underestimated it. So that does really indicate that we think we know what our kids are doing, but I don't think we really know what they're doing. So leading on from that, this set of data I found on the Yahoo Kids site, and the URL is on the bottom, and these slides will be up on the website later, so you're welcome to download them. More than a half said they like being alone when surfing the internet. 39% have given out personal information, be it email addresses, names, age, gender, online, and of course this can be through entering a contest, playing games, or signing up for websites. And keep in mind, these are kids we're talking about. These are not adults. These are not professionals. So they're already divulging all that sort of personal information. And then perhaps they don't even know better whether they should be divulging that information or not. About a third have chatted or used instant messaging with someone on the internet they have not met face-to-face. But more alarming is 12% have met a new person from the internet face-to-face. So it's becoming a medium to make introductions, to try and find and know new people, and so on. And I'm sure you're all aware of the dangers that could exist out of that. 8% say that while on the internet, someone has asked them to keep their friendship a secret. More than a half have seen something on the internet that shouldn't be on the internet. Now, how that is defined is up to your imagination. 64%, so that's nearly 2/3, know or have heard about other students who have done something on the internet that shouldn't be done. So again, I leave that to your imagination what that actually means. Now, having said all this, do keep in mind that as a kid growing up, I had no internet. So I am a bit older than a typical digital native. And one of the things my parents used to tell me is that, one, don't talk to strangers, and number two, don't get into someone's car who you don't know. The internet today is not all that different. Only the medium has changed. It's not, instead of someone walking up to you, they do that on the internet. Instead of someone asking you to get in their car, you go and get into their car on the internet. So, we need to keep that in perspective as well, that the issues are somewhat similar still today. It's just the medium and how they're handled that has started to change. So let's talk about the brave. We all know what happened in Egypt, of course. There used to be a saying that the pen is mightier than the sword, and I read a reference recently that said that the internet and the web are mightier than the sword now. So I'm not sure if we can see that graphic very well, but what you have is two riot policemen charging some people, and the people have two swords which have Facebook and Twitter written on them. So they're not hitting back with arms and ammunition, but they're hitting back with the internet. So I found that a really interesting little cartoon, which I thought I'd share with you. And of course, to the left of it, they're trying to depict that Mr. Mubarak is running away. You've all heard of WikiLeaks and all the sort of controversies that has created, and it's really changed a lot in terms of how governments work and operate and how companies work and operate as well. And that again has an element of bravery in it, because what WikiLeaks, depending on whatever your perspective is, I have no real comment on that. But the thing is, it's taken what was supposed to be secretive information, some of it confidential, but yet they released it to the wider public. And that obviously had ramifications on multiple levels, at diplomatic levels, at personal levels, at business levels, and so on. At the same time, there are a whole lot of journalists out there where basically their online freedom is being curbed because of various laws and restrictions that are placed on them. So you have a lot of brave folk out there who are actually publishing, who are blogging, even though they are under attack by law enforcement or other agencies as they were. And of course, if they are the young and the brave, then we also have the foolish. This is very recent. I think this was last week in Australia. There's a thing called planking, and it's actually claimed a life now. Planking is all about you basically put your arms to your side and you go and